In 9 years working ticketing and guest services at Disneyland, I watched the same mistake cost families an average of $300 or more per trip. It happens the moment you buy your tickets, sometimes weeks before you ever set foot in the park. And most guests never find out it happened, because by the time they could fix it, the window has already closed. And I know what you're probably thinking. You've been to Disneyland before. Maybe a lot. You've got the routine down. You know the parking. You know the shortcuts. And you figure you've got the ticket thing handled. But here's the difference. I wasn't a guest standing in line trying to stretch a budget. I was the guy behind the window processing those purchases, watching the exact same pattern repeat itself thousands of times a year for almost a decade. If you're getting value out of this already, do me a favor and tap that like button and subscribe. And hit the notification bell so you catch the next one. It genuinely helps me keep making these. The things I'm about to share aren't scams or loopholes or some sketchy workaround. They're options, upgrades, and policies built right into the system. Cast members at the ticket windows know about them. We process them every single day. But Disney doesn't advertise them, and most of them only work if you know exactly what to ask for and when to ask for it. My name's Marcus Reed. I just left after 9 years. I started as a seasonal ticket booth associate, worked my way up to a guest services lead at the main gate, and spent my last few years training new hires on the ticketing system itself. So I didn't just sell tickets. I taught people how the whole machine works. And now that Disney doesn't sign my paycheck anymore, I can tell you the things current cast members aren't allowed to say out loud. Money left on the table. Upgrades that were sitting right there and never offered to you. Mistakes that quietly cost families hundreds of dollars before they even walked through the turnstile. I've watched guests overpay by $300 or more on a single trip over decisions that took 4 minutes to get right, if they'd only known what to say. So in this video, I'm walking you through 15 things that will completely change how you buy and use your Disneyland tickets. From the moment you start planning to the moment you walk out exhausted and happy at the end of the day. Some of these will save you real money. Some will save you hours of standing in line. And a few are going to genuinely surprise you, even if you've been coming here for 20 years. Because I'll tell you what, the guests who had the best trips during my years at the gate weren't the ones who spent the most. They were the ones who knew what to ask for and when to ask for it. Let's start with the mistake that's right there in the title, the one costing people $300 and up. When most families buy tickets, they buy them as straight one-day or multi-day tickets, lock them in, and call it done. Here's what they don't realize. On most date-based tickets, there's an upgrade path built into the system that lets you turn that ticket into an annual pass, or what's now called a magic key. And Disney credits the full price you already paid toward it. So if you've bought 3 or 4 days of park tickets for a family, you may have already spent most of what a pass would cost. But the rule that nobody tells you is this: you have to do that upgrade before you leave the park on your last valid day. The second you walk out and that ticket is fully used up, the credit is gone, and you've effectively thrown away hundreds of dollars. The exact words to use are simple. Go to a ticket window or guest services before your last day ends and say, "I'd like to apply the value of my current tickets toward an upgrade. Can you tell me what my options are?" That one sentence has saved families I helped $400, $500, $600 in a single afternoon. Now here's one that creates more frustration at the window than almost anything else. The date you pick when you buy. Disneyland uses date-based pricing, which means the price changes depending on which day you're visiting, and people pick their dates emotionally instead of strategically. They lock in a Saturday in July because that's when the kids are off, and they pay top-tier pricing. What actually works is checking the price calendar before you commit, because shifting your visit by even one day, a Tuesday instead of a Sunday, can drop the per-ticket price by a meaningful amount. sometimes $30 or $40 a person. Across a family of 4, that adds up fast. When you're on the website or at the window, say, "Can you show me the lowest price dates near the days I'm considering?" They'll pull it up. They're not hiding it, but they're also not going to volunteer it unless you ask. Next thing. Most guests assume the multi-day ticket they bought has to be used on consecutive days. It usually doesn't. Multi-day tickets typically come with a validity window, a stretch of time during which your days can be used, and they don't all have to be back to back. I watched families burn a third day they didn't even want, dragging exhausted toddlers through the park, because they thought it was use it or lose it that exact week. Before you buy, ask, what's the full validity window on this ticket, and do the days need to be consecutive? Knowing that one detail changes how you plan the entire trip. If the value here is landing for you, this is your reminder to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so the next video shows up for you. I've got years of these stories left to tell, and I don't want you to miss them. Here's one people don't know exists. Park Hopper. Disney loves to upsell you Park Hopper at the point of sale, the option that lets you bounce between Disneyland and California Adventure in the same day. And for some people, it's worth it. But here's what they don't tell you. You can usually add Park Hopper after you've already started your trip, even mid-visit, by paying just the difference. So if you're not sure you'll use it, don't buy it up front. Wait, see how your first day goes, and if you find yourself wanting to hop, walk up to a ticket window and say, "I'd like to add the Park Hopper option to my existing ticket and pay the difference." You only spend the money if you actually end up needing it, instead of paying for a feature you never touch. Now, the one that quietly drains wallets, Lightning Lane and the paid line skipping options. Guests buy the top-tier line skipping add-on for every single day of a multi-day trip out of fear of long lines. But the truth is, the value of that add-on swings wildly depending on the crowd level and the day of the week. On a lighter day, you may barely use it. What I always told friends was, don't pre-commit to it for every day. You can decide morning of, based on the actual crowd. The words are, I'd like to purchase the line skipping option for today only. Buy it the days you'll actually use it, skip it the days you won't, and you'll often cut that expense significantly across a trip. Here's something most people never think to check. If you bought your tickets and the price later drops, or you find out you qualify for a discount you didn't know about, Southern California resident deals, certain promotional windows, military offers, you can sometimes have that addressed before you use the ticket. The system has discretion here that a lot of guests never tap into. Walk up and say, I purchased these tickets recently. Can you tell me if I qualify for any current offers and whether anything can be adjusted before I use them? Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes you walk away with money back you had no idea was available. Let's talk about kids' tickets, because this is a sneaky one. Disney prices children under a certain age as free, and everyone above that age pays full child or adult pricing. Parents routinely buy a full ticket for a child who is actually still in the free age range, or buy adult pricing for a kid who qualifies for the lower child rate. Before you check out, confirm the exact age cutoffs and say, can you confirm the current age brackets so I'm not buying a ticket my child doesn't need? It feels small, but I watched parents pay for a toddler who could have walked in free. We're now getting into the stuff most guests never even think to ask about. Here's one. If something goes genuinely wrong with your day, a major ride you traveled specifically to experience is down all day, a real service failure, not just a long wait. Guest services has discretion to make it right. People assume the answer is automatically no, so they never ask. Instead, calmly go to guest services and say, I understand things happen, but this significantly affected our day. Is there any flexibility you can offer? This does not work for normal wait times or minor inconveniences, and it does not work if you're rude about it. But for real, legitimate problems, that discretion exists, and politeness is the key that unlocks it. We're right around the halfway point. So quick reminder, if you're enjoying this, smash that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it tells me to keep making these. Next, dining and the way you bundle it. Disney offers various dining and ticket bundles, and guests assume bundling always saves money. Sometimes it does. Often it doesn't, especially for families who don't eat the way the bundle assumes. Before you add a dining package, do the quick math on what you'd actually spend ordering normally. When they offer it, you can simply say, "I appreciate it, but I've done the math for how we actually eat, and I'll pass." No pressure, no awkwardness, and frequently more money in your pocket. Here's one that surprises people. Your ticket and your reservation are sometimes two separate things. On busy days, Disneyland can require a reservation in addition to a valid ticket. Guests buy the ticket, show up, and discover they can't get in on their chosen day because they never made the separate reservation. Before you finalize anything, ask, does my ticket require a separate park reservation for the dates I'm planning? And is that date available? Confirming this one thing prevents the single most heartbreaking scene I witnessed at the gate. A family that drove hours only to be turned away. Now the upgrade nobody asks about. If you're already in the park and having a great time, and you start thinking about coming back soon, that is the moment to look at the pass upgrade I mentioned earlier while your ticket still has value to credit. The best timing is during your visit, not after. Walk up and say, "I'm enjoying this so much I'm considering an annual option. Can you tell me how much of what I've already paid would apply?" Sometimes the math makes it a no-brainer. Sometimes it doesn't. But you'll never know if you don't ask while the credit window is still open. Let's talk about the tickets sold outside the park, the third-party sellers, and the too good to be true deals online. Some authorized resellers are completely legitimate, but the ultra-cheap tickets floating around on classified sites and sketchy marketplaces are often partially used, expired, or simply fake, and the gate will catch it. If a deal seems impossible, treat it as a warning sign. Stick to Disney directly or to clearly authorized sellers. And if you ever have any doubt about a ticket, you can ask at a window, "Can you verify that this ticket is valid before I rely on it?" Better to know at the gate than after you've built a whole trip around something worthless. Before I give you the last few, which are the ones I really want you to remember, take 1 second to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if any of this has been useful to you. Here's one about timing your entry. Guests show up mid-morning, right at the peak crush, and burn an hour of their valuable ticketed day just getting through the gates and onto a first ride. The single best thing you can do is be there before official opening. Early entry windows and the simple fact of beating the crowd can effectively add hours of real park time to the ticket you already paid for. You're not spending another dollar. You're just extracting more value from the ticket in your hand by showing up early instead of late. Now here's the big one, and this is what I really want you to understand. When you walk up to a ticket window or a guest services counter, the cast member in front of you can see a lot. Your ticket history, what you've purchased, your pass status, the notes on your account, and here's what most people never realize. That cast member has discretion. If you're polite, specific, and reasonable, that discretion can work powerfully in your favor. An upgrade path explained in full, a flexibility offered, a problem genuinely solved. But that discretion vanishes the second you're rude, demanding, or clearly trying to game the system. I had a mom come to my window once, calm, kind, just trying to understand her best option for a return trip. I went out of my way to lay out every path that saved her money because she made it easy to want to help. And I had guests scream at me over things that were nobody's fault, and I helped them strictly within policy, and not 1 inch beyond. Cast members want to help you. You just have to give them a reason to go to bat for you. Be kind, Be specific and understand that the person across that counter has more power to help you than you realize. Here's the thread running through every single one of these. They all work because Disney built the system with flexibility and options. They just don't advertise them. The upgrade paths exist. The cheaper dates exist. The add after the fact options exist. The discretion exists. But you have to know they're there, and you have to ask the right way. That $300 mistake I mentioned at the very start, the one in the title, the upgrade credit you lose the moment you walk out the gate. You can avoid it with one sentence at a ticket window before your last day ends. But only if you know to ask. You don't have to memorize all 15 of these. Pick the 2 or 3 that matter most for your next trip, start there, and build your confidence. Because once you understand how the system actually works, a Disneyland trip stops feeling like something that happens to your wallet and starts feeling like something you control. The guests who had the best trips during my 9 years weren't the ones who spent the most money. They were the ones who knew what to ask for and when to ask for it. They were the ones who asked before their last day, not after. They were the ones who were polite, specific, and understood that the person behind that counter could do more for them than they ever expected. So before your next trip, check the price calendar before you lock a date, confirm whether you need a separate reservation, and look at that upgrade credit before you walk out the gate, not after. Disney isn't hiding this stuff because they're the villain. They're just not going out of their way to tell you. Now you know. And if this saves you even one unnecessary charge on your next trip, then I did what I set out to do. If you got value out of this, please do hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming. Next time, I'm going to walk you through the 3 sentences that got guests upgrades I wasn't technically supposed to approve.